Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Andy, we're talking Detroit Lions football, and this one's going to be awesome. Fascinated to hear where you are with this team at this moment. And it's one of the kind of few times in life where we get a for sure answer to a really, really hard question. How much are coordinators worth to a team? And you know why I ask you this question, Andy? Yeah. Because on December 24th, 2024, according to Unpredictable, the Detroit Lions were the number one power rated team in the NFL. Generic points for plus 7.4. That is rare air. That is an elite team. This is before like the defensive injuries really set in and everybody was effed. Like this was, this is basically, telling you that the Lions as rostered and the way that they were coached was worth a touchdown over an average team on a neutral field. Now, granted, when you get to that time of season, there's other things at play that influence that type of number. I'm not an idiot, but we'll say 6.5, 7, I think was pretty much everyone agreed upon market rating for Detroit at full strength at the end of last year. Their market rating now is 3.56. So the answer to your question, how much is a good coordinator worth? Well, offense and defense, if they come as a package, almost 4 points.
And before somebody feels like somebody's just pounding the keyboard right now, yes, the offensive line downgrade is real and precipitous. Sure. Because it's the same as us talking about like the Patriots. Like, yeah, they made massive upgrades. But when you start at, horse shit 10 feet below the mud, a massive upgrade doesn't get you to the playoffs. Like it just elevates you to below average or maybe average. It's the same kind of thing. It's a downgrade and it's a big downgrade, but you were elite. You were one of the top 3 offensive lines for 3 years in a row. And so you're dropping them, but you're dropping them from the highest height. So it's still a good offensive line, but that makes a difference. And, those two things, I mean, is that it? You're healthier now. Your defense is pretty much back to health outside of one guy who might have had an ACL surgery in the offseason right now. But it comes down to those. That's it. That's the podcast. There's 2 coordinators that are gone. We saw this in 2022 when the Eagles were an amazing team and they lost. They won the NFC Championship game that year. They beat the piss out of the Niners and lost a very good game to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Lost both your coordinators. Only won 11. Yeah, but they finished second in the division the year after, and they got the tar beat out of them by the Bucs in the playoffs. And that was, hey, Steichen and Gannon are gone. This is a relearning things here, I guess. And obviously the same thing can be said about them. There were other circumstances, but it sucks losing both coordinators, especially when it wasn't just, hey, here's a guy who got a job because somebody had to hire him. And, there were just so many openings and nobody wanted to go take this job. He was crazy sought after for 2 years.
Yeah.
And Glenn was too. So these are important pieces on a team where, guess what though? Dan Campbell called plays in 2021. Maybe the offensive coordinator we needed has been sitting there the whole time.
That's a tough sell for me, but I'll listen to the argument.
I will not make that argument.
Ben Johnson sticks around last year to make one more go at it. And for 16 weeks of the regular season, it looks like what a decision. 17 weeks, I'll say, of the regular season. 17 and a half weeks. You're beating the tar out of the Minnesota Vikings to clinch home field throughout the NFC playoffs. And all of a sudden, we've lost some pieces on defense, but we're healthy on offense, and that's what matters. You get the bye week to get right. You welcome the surprise Washington Commanders. You get a rookie quarterback. your first playoff game.
Good for you guys.
And
hey,
you're up
you.
against a defense that probably not that good. And you turn the ball over a million times. I lost count. And ultimately 5 times, excuse me. I'll correction and retraction, not a million, 5. 5 turnovers
Still
in a
pretty
game
bad.
ultimately decided your playoff fate. And I think while on one hand, Detroit Lion fans are probably like, this isn't fair. We waited so long for success. We finally have it in the palm of our hands, and this is how it ends. Especially after the prior season where nobody gave you a chance on the road in San Francisco, and you went toe to toe with that Niners team. You were right there.
Banger. Such a good game.
And so it probably didn't feel right that was how it ended for them. But now you got to figure out how to turn the page on the fly and restaff an entire coaching staff outside of Dan Campbell effectively. And for me at least, the big question and the big challenge for rating them properly is coming up with a fair price for Jared Goff, because I think it's very likely that what you got out of Jared Goff last year, which is probably his 98th percentile ability of performing, was in a large part due to the offense that was schemed for him by Ben Johnson. And this isn't to say that he's going to drop to a 33rd percentile this year in his absence, but even dropping him to his 50th percentile ability this year is the difference between you being a +7 and a +3. And that's the reality you're living with. Tough to kind of make meaningful additions or adjustments to this team, to this roster, despite 2-time GM of the year. No, I think he's won it back to back. Brad Holmes, 2-time GM of the year. But it's listening to them. It sounds like they had a succession plan in place for their offensive line, not unlike what the Eagles did. But you're right. A big important piece is missing with that unit that was such a huge part of the success that you had last year. And I don't think it's unfair or outrageous to say that the EPA per drop back numbers that Jared Goff put up last year are unrepeatable. Unrepeatable. The offensive line is worse. You play more games outside. Ben Johnson is not structuring your offense and calling your plays. It cannot be as good as it was. But that said, it was so freaking good that even if you knock it down a hair, it's still a very good offense. You have incredible skill position group who is at the peak of their powers age-wise. So, it's a fascinating handicap.
I'm barely listening because I'm on the Sporting News NFL Executive of the Year Wikipedia page now. 1982, I think that was the strike-shortened year.
That was the strike-shortened year where the Washington Redskins won. Yeah.
First of 2 straight wins for Bobby Beathard, CJ's grandfather.
You're shitting me.
I am not shitting you. Bill Polian won his first 2 with the Bills, then won one with the Panthers, and then the Colts. Bill Polian has 6, 2 with 3 teams each. And the biggest crime is that Howie Roseman has the same number as Ryan Pace. Just Steve Keim has one. Gettleman has one.
Keim has one?
Listen to that. So it wasn't awarded in 2013. I have to look at why, but Steve Keim, Gettleman, Reggie McKenzie for the Raiders, and then Roseman got his flowers. Ryan Pace, Eric DeCosta, I'll give it to you. Yeah, Brandon Bean, I'll give it to you. Duke Tobin, Cincinnati, and then it's been Bean, Brad Holmes. 2-time reigning GM of the year. Not something we're going to build into our numbers, but he very much matters when it comes to the decision making and roster building. And it seems correct in how they did this based on the coaching they had. But now that you lose the brainchild of the offense, it can get real interesting because we've seen bad Goff, and we saw bad Goff in the playoff game, essentially. Like the Jekyll and Hyde thing came out where if things don't go right for this team turnover-wise, they never really had the defense to, stop a team completely. It was a high-leverage defense where they seemed to get the right time stops. Like 3rd and 4th down stops were always just happening for them. But as they get more and more injured, more and more missing players, you kind of stopped having that, and it turned into a team that couldn't afford to have a game like that. And they lost by like 3 touchdowns, didn't they? It was a ass beating, essentially.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think it might have gotten some garbage points to make it less of an ass beating on paper, but it was an ass beating. It felt like as you were watching it. Remember that second half over was a nice bet on our playoff live pod. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
let's just jump to the coordinators. We'll get to the rest of the moves and the offensive line.
Well, no, real quick, I do want to say that like two important things about their season last year. Like, you're right. When the going got bad for Goff, it got real bad. And that was a little bit tough to square and tough to, it was just sort of proof of I don't know if I trust this guy yet. Oh, see, there he goes. He throws 5 picks against the Texans. Well, they won that game anyway, amazingly somehow. But in general, the signs were there that he was a little bit untrustworthy. But even more than that, like the fact that they had as many injuries as they did on the defensive side of the ball and still played effective defense until the death was pretty damn impressive. And to the degree that defense in a lot of ways is effort based and the vibes were good and that Dan Campbell coached these guys up and had them ready to go, like, he deserves some credit for that. But Aaron Glenn, I think, deserves the most, and now he's gone.
Yeah, and they did lose other coaches as well. The issue I have is just the fact that we have some coordinators that I don't know a ton about. I don't know if I can trust them a lot. John Morton was with this team before he went to become a Broncos pass game coordinator for the past couple of years. He was with this team in 2022. He was a senior offensive assistant. That was Ben Johnson's first year as coordinator. Like I said, Dan Campbell called the plays the year before. And I believe Ben Johnson was, I'm checking right now, he was the passing game coordinator. They gave him the OC job in 2022. So John Morton was here at the inception of the Ben Johnson offense. You got to think he was in the room and part of all that. Obviously, he hasn't been here for the past couple of years. He's been in Denver. They liked enough of him to bring him back, I guess. So that's something. He's been all over. His career started. He does have a lot of good ties. His first job was under Norv Turner. He coached under John Harbaugh at San Diego when they were like a D2 school. He coached with Sean Payton as an offensive assistant in New Orleans. He coached with Steve Sarkisian. He was it even mentions that Pete Carroll interviewed him for that job at USC. We'll skip over the part where he was the offensive coordinator under Todd Bowles and everybody got fired. He worked with Gruden. Obviously, he worked with Sean Payton, liked him enough to bring him back there. I think that means something. I don't know jack shit about how much continuity we'll see between what we saw last year and just it wasn't just trick plays and making Goff look good. It was the sequencing for me. Ben Johnson's sequencing was elite. I think that matters a ton. And it's one of those things where you go out and practice and practice and practice, and it's so easy. And then timer goes on. Geez, what a bad analogy I'm going to use here. Do you remember when I played mini golf professionally that one day?
Yeah, you got the highest score. You won, right?
Yeah, there was a guy with a camera, like a huge TV camera, like standing 2 feet from me. I couldn't putt. Like, I froze up. It mattered. Like, when the pressure's on, things change. I played like 20 strokes better in the practice round. I shit you not. I absolutely am not built different. I cannot do it. So, when you're in an actual game situation, you have to make decisions, you have to make adjustments, you have to decide your play sequencing and how it's going to go outside of, because again, they were one of the highest touchdown rates in scripted plays, one of the best EPAs in scripted plays. I think you can probably see that continuing based on him, working with Sean Payton, working with Ben Johnson in the past, knowing it's not like they threw the playbook out. He can still go look at what they did last year. So I don't know. It's hard to really make a good rating for the guy.
I thought a lot of what the Lions did was they were just bullies. They got the ball rolling downhill on offense, and they never took their foot off the opponent's throat. They would run the ball when other people would not run the ball, and they'd still just get a first down. Like, Jesus. Yeah, they were just unstoppable bullies. last week, maybe we talked about Josh Allen and the Bills, and I was kind of just losing my shit over how good he was in specific games. And I thought he must have had the highest EPA per dropback of any player in any given game. He did not. It was Jared Goff, and it was the Jaguars game. His EPA per dropback in that Jags game, week 11, plus 1.09. They got a point every time he took a snap and dropped back. Expected point added. Unreal. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. But that game was the most lopsided mismatch of the entire season. Lions won 56-2. There were 6 games, Andy, where the Lions scored 40 points or more last year. I don't know that that's a feat that's ever been accomplished very, very frequently. Like, they were prolific to the extent that was kind of breaking the norms, hitting the +3 Z-score type of efficiency and through a lot of the season. And a ton of that was because they never stopped being aggressive, never stopped calling good plays, even if they were up by 28 points. And so just keep that in mind as far as one of the reasons that like their offense ended up looking so good. And when the going was difficult for them, it wasn't always the same, as evidenced in that Commanders game in the playoffs. So, all right, the offseason.
And Birdie mentions this too. I have this on the list, but yeah, David Shaw, remember him from Stanford? He actually was one of the weird. A couple of years ago, he got like a random head coaching interview from a team. I can't remember who it was, but they brought him in as like a senior offensive assistant as well. So they have a bunch of, I think they hedged their bets. They brought in a few guys that they like, or a few guys they trusted to be the brain trust. And, just Morton is the guy with the title, and he's the one calling the plays. Former Frankfurt Galaxy wide receiver, by the way.
Ooh. All right. I don't have much else to say about last year's performance or season or data.
No, I'm done with 24.
They were again. I guess that some of the defensive numbers I don't believe either, just because they were in such a positive game state for so much. But then you got to square that with the fact that they lost their best player for a huge amount of the season with the Aiden Hutchinson injury. And
the biggest knock on the defense was Aiden Hutchinson's elite, but he doesn't have help. He needs a second piece to take some pressure off him. And then you lose him when he breaks all the bones in his lower leg. I can't remember exactly when the Alan McNeil injury happened. That was, a problem for the middle of the defensive line as well. And then, what was the Marcus Davenport? I think he was in and out, but that's just kind of what you get from Marcus Davenport for the last few years as well. So, you get Hutchinson back. All reports are he's looking fine. DJ Reader was another one that you brought him in, and I feel like he missed some time early at the beginning. So if you have McNeil's still hurt, I don't 100% know how that's going to turn out. But if you bring back everybody on this defense, and now you have DJ Reed as well in the fold to help fill in, it can still be a good defense for sure. They brought in a bunch of depth too. DJ Reed's probably the biggest offseason signing, I guess, from the Jets. You lost Carlton Davis. You replaced him with DJ Reed. Fine. That's good. You brought in Rock Ya-Sin, Avante Maddox. You have some depth now, and hopefully that helps. Hopefully you don't get hurt. Marcus Davenport, I think he ripped a tricep last year. He can still contribute. You re-signed him for cheap. You re-signed Derek Barnes. Wasn't a terribly active offseason outside of the coaching stuff. You lost to Darius Smith. You're paying a bunch for him. The biggest losses obviously were Zeitler and why am I blanking on the retirement? Ragnow and
Zeitler were
bigger losses. Yeah, I'd say a net negative unless you want to count the coming back from injury for Aiden Hutchinson. And anything else on the offseason before
we have health questions swirling about a number of defensive players already.
Yeah,
Malcolm Rodriguez and Alan McNeil, maybe even more important. Alan McNeil, do you have a guess on Alan McNeil and Malcolm Rodriguez? They were both, I believe, injured relatively late in the season.
So the McNeil injury was the 15th, and it was an ACL, the 15th of December.
Yeah.
So start of the season is like 9.5 months. So it feels 50-50, maybe more like 40-60 that he plays. And then I don't have as good of a read on Rodriguez as far as when he'll be back. But the McNeil one feels like early season. Maybe he misses a few games to start the year, and he'll be fine. It sounds like anybody who's worried about Hutch, don't be worried.
Chill out.
Chill out. Was it ACL for? It was ACL for the other one too, Rodriguez. So his was later in the season too.
Yeah.
I think he's more of a October into this November comeback.
Okay.
Ennis Rakestraw, he got banged up in practice as well, but it seemed like he was fine. But it's scary because you've got two guys injured, you're starting to get more injuries, and then you also lost one of your pass rushers already for the year.
Yeah. Not great. All right. Yeah, I thought it was a net negative overall. Didn't love their draft either, really. But the hell do I know?
I can't think. Oh, Levi Onwuzurike, done as he just had some surgery on his ACL. Yeah, the draft was, you got a elite run stopper. You drafted late. You had the 28th pick. It's hard to get a super big contributor sometimes that late.
Sure.
But he's a really, really, really good run stop player. But he also can he's additive to the pass rush from the inside, which can help Hutchinson. So maybe that's something exciting for this defense. You drafted Tate Ratledge from Georgia, big offensive lineman. By the nature of the players you lost, he is absolutely starting. He's going to be, your right guard right off the bat. And you drafted a wide receiver, Isaac Tesla. Big dude. We got to see him in the Hall of Fame game. He's already been on a DFS team, so I know who he is because I had to look up like, hey, who's this game? So, I think Rakestraw was an injury or a chest injury. We just never get good information. It's another one to absolutely keep an eye on. Other than that, a lot of depth. Everything else from there was day 3 picks, but
I guess
Tesla might end up, contributing.
Here's a general comment on you're breaking in new coordinators. Don't you kind of want everybody there for camp participating? Doesn't this compound that issue a little? That you're not full strength?
Yeah. I guess the only positive would be the offense is intact. You really don't have any injuries on the offensive side of the ball. Everybody, including, your reconfigured offensive line, is playing. Because I think that matters more. Defenses are always ahead at this time. And all those guys.
I'd like to have them all. I'd like to have them all available just so that you can understand with what you are ultimately going to run. Like, who are the best pieces for that? Like, how do we do this? And ultimately, like they may ultimately all be exactly the right pieces, and there's enough all pros in the building that none of this matters. I mean, we're seeing a lot of that play out currently in San Francisco. Detroit could just be San Francisco light, where it's reload. Like, that's entirely possible. But I don't know. I feel like slow start, possible. A little bit of a step back on offense because the efficiency goes down for the quarterback, likely. And then it's just a matter of, is your defense take enough of a step forward to counter the offense taking a step backwards? And that feels questionable to me with the new coordinator on defense as well. So I don't know. I think I think you almost certainly have to acknowledge a downgrade from last year at the end of the year. The big question is how much.
We haven't mentioned the new DC with Aaron Glenn, and I just agree. It's a downgrade off season from a very good team to a good team. I think is where we're at to start, at least. Kelvin Shepard is so young. How young is he, Andy? His Wikipedia page is a picture of him as a player from 2014.
Oh, what kind of player was he? Linebacker?
I believe he was a linebacker. He has not been a coach very long. So he played until 2018. He started as the outside linebackers coaches in 2021 when the Dan Campbell regime began, I believe.
Oh, he was a player for Dan.
Yeah, he played for them as well. And
Cool.
then he became the linebackers coach for the last 3 years. And now he is your
DC
defensive coordinator. So inexperienced there. I will say for the coaching, this coaching turnover is going to be discussed at length by everybody. They did retain their offensive line coach. Hank Fraley's still there. So
that feels like a huge get.
That's probably a pretty big plus, especially when you're trying to break in a rookie and you're bringing in, another spot you have to fill in there with Christian Mahogany, who did play last year as a rookie, but you're breaking him in, and then you have Miles Frazier as well that you believe that. Yeah, that's a draft pick this year too. So you have three pretty young players that you need to break in, and two of them are starting. So.
Yeah. The positives. The positives. If Taylor Decker obviously didn't get a clean start to camp, but it seems like he's going to be fine for week 1. He matters. He's an amazing left tackle. Penei Sewell might be the best tackle in football. That should help.
That's right tackle. Yeah,
best right tackle. Top 3 tackle overall in football. That'll help. Coach, retaining the coach helps surely. But this is all kind of like mitigating. And kind of fortifying why not to downgrade them as much as the market might have, which kind of is amazingly where I'm at. You want to look at their schedule, or did you have any other thoughts about this new sunrise in Detroit?
No, that, as I mentioned, that Miles Frazier, I think he's banged up right now, but he was a 5th round pick that they like quite a bit. LSU lineman. And as Birdie was pointing out, a lot of those injuries like Rodriguez and Rakestraw, they're not starters, but they are people who are going to play snaps and are expected to be playing some snaps. So it'd be nice.
I thought Rodriguez stepped in and did pretty well for you to help.
Was it
when you were having some injuries last year? I thought he was pretty. Let me see where he ranked among.
Because it was like I thought he played well. It was like Anzalone got hurt, right, and then he steps in a little more.
Yeah, Anzalone only played 10 games,
and then he got hurt as well.
Yeah, I could be misremembering. It felt like everybody got hurt, and maybe it was just a matter of like they can't have another one, not another one.
I would agree. Glasgow.
Yeah, Rodriguez only started 6 games, and he was pretty dang close to the contributory score that you got from Anzalone in 10. So he's a player that you can count on. Anyway.
We'll talk offensive line a little more when we do ratings. Let's move on to the 2025 Detroit Lions, your defending champs. Their schedule brought to you by the Circa Sports Survivor Pro Football Contest and Circa Millions 7. Get your ass to the desert. I believe this is their official tagline. Get your ass to the desert. Find a proxy. Sign up. All the contests and enjoy it and win $14 million.
I saw the recent number of signups, and I had a kind of a dual sort of reaction. One was it felt like we might get an overlay. We do that every year. We're definitely getting an overlay in Millions. Felt like we might get an overlay in the Survivor because I didn't love the numbers, at least you
got to pump those numbers up.
We got to pump those numbers up, and that means we need your help. If you've been enjoying these podcasts, get out there and sign up for these contests because they are exceptionally fun, and honestly, they are professionally run. Nobody's going to disappear with your Venmo money here and not pay you after you ship the pot, which happens all of the time, every freaking year across the unregulated landscape. So don't screw around with that. Play with the big boys, win some millions, win some Survivor, or get second to us. It's still a nice payout in millions for sure. All right. The schedule, this looks like you kind of can already imagine what the narrative is after that Sunday Night Football game, week 11, right? Like, Windows closed.
Oh, yep. Shut the window.
Windows closed. This schedule is reeking gnarly over the first 11 weeks of the season, which is again, like, we're in the content business, Andy, to a degree. We don't necessarily beat to the drum of the having to have hot takes or content takes, but you know what the easiest one of all time was? Lions are going to take a step back this year, guys. And you know why it's so easy? Because the schedule tells you that is going to be the overwhelming opinion of everyone who watches professional football come November 16th. There are losses on this schedule that could be pretty meaningful losses. They come early, they come in the middle, and they come
on the road.
On the road.
At Baltimore, at Kansas City, at Washington, at Philly, at Green Bay. Even at Cincy. If you are worried at all, or if you have a secondary injury, good. Now we get the best receiver after, and then we play the other best receiver in 3 weeks.
Oh, it turns out DJ Reed was a really good CB2.
Yeah.
Maybe not a good CB1.
Yeah, and we're not saying those are just scheduled losses. You can win those games. There's a universe where you win all those games.
Yeah.
Things can happen. Things can shake your way. Things could be better than we ever expected.
Yeah.
But those are very difficult. And then, it is a soft landing at the end, especially if you're worried about J.J. McCarthy and Caleb Williams and Matthew Stafford's back as they play at the Rams late in the year. That could be, what if you're playing Garoppolo and it's things could set up for them to slide nicely up the standings as the season goes on.
Do you want to set another calendar alert?
Shall we on the 17th?
November 17th.
Playoffs,
Lions playoffs, yes.
As I was walking back from the bar today from lunch, I was thinking about that. And I was going to bring that up. It's been a while since we set a calendar alert. I said I'm going to bring that up today. All right.
Let's set one. This is the one. Lions 17th. Playoff, yes. November 17th.
Task. I'm going to make this. I make these all viewable to people who are looking at my calendar too. So people at work, like, Andy has a half hour set aside to bet the Lions. What's that about? He has that blocked off.
Here's the conditional part of it. You ready? If they're a 3-win team, then we walk away. Because 3 wins is possible after that Philly game. It's possible. It's absolutely within the range of outcomes. They could lose to Green Bay, Baltimore, Cincy, KC, Tampa, Washington, and Philly. That is not even really controversial that they could lose all 7 of those games. They could be 3-7. I'm giving them the win against Minnesota. I'm giving them the win against Chicago. They are certainly going to beat Cleveland. But that's kind of wild that 3-7 is in the cards. At 4-6, are we taking playoffs? Yes. I feel like we should. I feel like that's the number I need. That's the record I need to see.
Yeah, it feels like when you get to that 10th game in week 11, because they do have a week 8 bye.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere between 3 and 6 wins is kind of where I'm pegging them. And 6 means, we were wrong. Like, this offense is fine. Morton's just Ben Johnson light. Like, there's so much continuity. He just took the playbook and all the notes, and he's making it work. Feels like 4 or 5 is pretty likely. And it's crazy. I'm saying this will be a 500 team after 10 games. This is my highest rated team in the division. This is my 4th best team in the league. But it's still a meat grinder of a schedule, and you're playing all the greatest teams at the wrong, on the road. I mean,
on the road and before you get to Thanksgiving. Yeah. Like,
you don't play Buffalo. You don't play Buffalo at least.
Sure.
But essentially, like, what was the AFC? Yeah, it was Buffalo, Kansas City for the AFC title game. 3 of the 4 teams that were in the title game weekend last year.
Yeah.
On the road. within 5 weeks of each other, and then you also get to play Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
in prime time at night in Baltimore. Jesus
oh my
Christ!
gosh, so many of the top 6 quarterbacks too. So many, dude. It is just great
It is
quarterbacks.
crazy how
Great quarterbacks week after week.
There is no mediocre quarterbacks. I guess it depends. JJ,
I mean,
JJ
Cleveland. There's no mediocre ones. There's
that's what I'm
bad,
saying.
there's bad, and then there's
Jordan
good.
Love and Caleb Williams and Lamar Jackson and God knows what. Joe Flacco maybe is
Shooter Flacco.
and then it goes Burrow, Mahomes, Baker Mayfield by who knows what you get with JJ, and then you get Jaden Daniels, and then Hurts, and then you get Jackson Dart.
Yeah. Here's where it could go wrong. Here's where our calendar alert becomes a punchline.
Yeah.
And Grenard breaks Goff's leg week 9, right? Yeah. Or just even lands on him and you get a funny shoulder injury for Goff, and we're like, yeah, it's going to be a couple weeks, and those weeks include Washington and Philly. He gets Van Ginkled. Dexter Lawrence gets him week 12, and we're like, oh god, he's going to miss a couple weeks, because like if you're going from Goff downgraded to this backup room, like now you know what we're talking about. San Francisco 2024. Like this can very easily turn into Niners 2024
season. Yeah, because we're very high on the Niners. They had it's a good roster, a good coaching staff, but that's how a good team is able to spiral into something bad. And as hard as we are on Goff sometimes, in the right environment, in the right system, with the right pieces around him, he can absolutely do what he did last year again.
Yeah, completely agree.
And you know what sucks if he does get hurt? It's kind of hard to tank because you're playing some shitty team
at the end. Well, if it's Hooker, if it's Hooker, you're not beating the Rams. You're not beating Pittsburgh, probably.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what some of
Dallas
those teams are like lately.
You get some bad. You get some tough pass rushes against them. If you got bad, just neutrally. What a fucking stretch of pass rushes. Dallas, Rams, Pittsburgh, Mini. Those are all top 5 pass rushes, I think. That is nasty.
Oh my god, yeah. Rams
that is nasty.
Did you hear the Rams news?
They're getting
Aaron Donald back.
And Aaron Donald's coming back.
Donald, he said he's coming. If they get him, he'll come back. Those which would be
add him to that room.
I feel like he doesn't even need to work out. They used to say that about Jim Marshall. He'd have to run around the goalpost once, and he was in season shape. I feel like Aaron Donald is still probably could just go out and play right now.
Well, and
get 8 pressures,
because his Sunday is probably fighting the knife guy still. Like he does that for fun, I'm sure. I don't think he's doing that just to get in shape. All right.
If you sound scared of this schedule and scared of bad things happening in this team, but if you are using them, it feels like a must use in certain
use.
They're a must use team. And I kind of just want to get it out of the way. It's week 4. Like
week 4.
Let's just
week 4 is a tough, and also week 4 is a tough week generally, by the way.
Yeah.
I actually am working on a little bit of a side project to come up with optimal survivor path and talk about it for these, but I don't know if I want to unveil it this year or use it to win survivor and then blow things up. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's better to unveil. It's funny too. I'm also like, there's a couple good products. Team Rankings has a good product. Obviously, there's Survivor Grid, and it's hard. It's hard to do to get it just right, and because some of it, I think you need to go deep on matchups as well, and where the team, is in their schedule and maybe effort level, even projected effort level for some of these games. Because you always get a stupid Baltimore stinker early in the season. We've seen Kansas City screw around, play with their food at times. Like very good teams can lose to very bad teams at any given Sunday, baby. So let's win the 14 million and then maybe just be survivors consultants at that point.
Week 4, there are 2 choices. it is Buffalo versus New Orleans, or it is Cleveland at Detroit. Every other game is going to be inside of a touchdown. You could argue that maybe San Francisco Jacksonville is outside of a touchdown at that point, but I doubt it. So you really just have those two choices, and Buffalo we talked about is kind of a must save for other reasons. So I think Lions week 4 is kind of a must use.
It'll be uber consensus, but
well, no, there'll be a split pool. Some half will use Buffalo, half will use Detroit.
Really,
you just have to cheer for Spencer Rattler to get it done versus Josh Allen. It doesn't feel that crazy.
Tyler Shuck,
dude. I've seen enough Tyler Shuck clips to say that if he starts a game this year, something has gone horribly wrong. He is not an NFL player.
If he starts this year, they're already like building the nameplate for that says Manning for a locker.
They are. If he starts this year, the goal is not to win.
Yeah.
That is very true. Anyway,
ratings or anything else on the? I mean, the offseason. I think we
ratings.
covered most of it.
Let's go to numbers.
Ratings. Let's pull it. Let me find my chart. All right, the Detroit Lions QBOC number was very, very high last year. It's an 8. It's a 9.
I was a 9 last year.
It's a very high number. I have a massive unknown, and I have a quarterback who had incredible numbers on paper, but we have to attribute a bunch of that to Ben Johnson. I believe he plays outside, maybe a couple more games, and Ben Johnson isn't there. Who knows what he looks like last year? And we saw the stinker at the end of the year. So I went with a 6.
I'm at a 6.4.
He's still very good, but I had to essentially say, hey, here's a guy who called plays once, and it was with Todd Bowles, and it was a bad year.
Yeah. I ended up subtracting a full standard deviation from what his projection would be from the years we saw him with Ben Johnson. Or I'm at a 6.4. Did I say 6.4? 6.3?
6.4.
6.4. Skill group, 8.5. Don't know that it gets better.
Yeah, 8 flat for me.
Is this the biggest number of any team? Just out of curiosity. I think this is my biggest number of any team.
Let me unsort skill. Sort Z.
Philly is number 2 for me after this, but it's freaking splitting hairs.
Tied with Philly. They're both an 8.
Okay. All right. Offensive line.
Tough, right? But it's every other guy. Is it something in your head too where it's like, hey, the tackles remain. You have the best tackle, the best right tackle there is. You have a great left tackle. You have a very good center, and the filling in is in between those guys. So you don't have 2 new guys playing next to each other, because this was consensus, number 1 or number 2 last year?
I think
it
1.
has to take a step. Yeah, you could make an argument for Philly or Buffalo as well. But
Philly was, I think, consensus 2. I think Buffalo and Denver round out your top 4.
And then Baltimore's offensive line numbers
very good.
Didn't make any sense because they weren't actually that good, but they had great players making them look good. So it's down to a 7.
Okay. 7.
Yeah.
All right. I'm at 7.5. So this is my 4th best offense, even with the downgrade.
5th for me.
Okay. Defense for you. This is now a middle of the road defense, I think, as rostered. Their strength is pass rush. Their run stop is average. Their coverage is below average, in my opinion. I'm at 4.9 for run stop, 6.3 for pass rush, 4.5 for coverage to start the season. What about you?
5.25 for run stop, just slightly above average. I think I will adjust that if I continue to get bad news on Alan McNeil, although they drafted somebody who was supposed to be very, very good at that. So I want to keep an eye on the rookie. 7 for pass rush.
Yeah.
I think he helps as well, and you have an elite pass rusher, at least one, and that matters a lot. And then 4 flat for coverage. I like the safety. It's kind of similar to what I said about Green Bay, except I'm not as down on them. But
I like Brian Branch a lot.
Branch and Joseph Kirby.
I'm out on everybody else.
Brian Branch is great. Joseph Kirby is good enough.
Fine.
Brian Branch is very good. Amick Robertson, like I said, you brought in Avonte Maddox for depth. Terry and Arnold has some room to grow, but yeah, it's a 4 for me.
Yeah, Arnold was rough last year. He was a walking penalty.
Room to grow. Well, and
Yeah,
I read some stuff too. It's just when you have an aggressive defense, you're going to have a lot of penalties.
that's true.
But he had like the most.
And also,
I believe they
became
gave
like
up
a thing
the most.
it became like it was a reputation thing.
Well, I believe they gave up the most first downs on like automatic, holding defense, automatic first down.
It became a reputation thing. It was so bad for him, and it's tough to overcome that. Certainly in a season, it's tough to overcome that because every time there was even a 50-50 call, it's like, oh, it's Arnold. He probably did it. You know what I mean? Like,
It's still a good defense. I think it depends what you get out of some players that, Alan McNeil is health risk. Now we have Malcolm Rodriguez. Both those guys are going to miss some times. Anzalone's coming off injury. You got Marcus Davenport, who's never stayed healthy. Hutch looks great, feels great, but that was a pretty bad injury. I'd hate to see him lose a step, and the secondary has some question marks. So it's a good defense, but it's closer to the middle than it was last year.
Me too. Agreed.
When it was rated pretty highly when they were healthy.
Yeah. Intangibles was tricky. You
lost a coordinator. You got to build the coordinator into that a little as well.
I 100% agree with that. Intangibles was tricky for me because they are still expected to be the most aggressive team. And some of that is just now Dan Campbell's DNA more so than it is even them listening to the analytics department to do the right thing. And it served him well last year. So expecting that to continue, expecting him to get the most out of his guys from a rah-rah standpoint. Big question is just how much of the second half performances we saw from that Lions team was because of adjustments and situation. And that could ultimately be something that I'm missing here, but I'm at 8.5 for intangible.
Samesies, 8.5.
Okay.
It's awful hard to downgrade the most aggressive coach by margin. We joked about this last year, how it felt like sometimes he was just throwing a dart and saying, flip a coin and I'll go for it if it's heads. But it felt like some of them, even though they were maybe over aggressive, it was at the right time. Like, yes, this is the spot to do this. And you have an offensive line that can beat this defensive line, get this first down, win the game, or win this drive, or put yourself in a much better position from a win probability standpoint. And I'm fine with Riverboat Dan.
I dig it. Final rating for them from me. Oh, it was your special teams number.
This is the best special teams unit in the league, baby. It's a 9.
Whew. Oh, how much of that was playing indoor?
It does help to play indoors, but yeah, they were first in the league in net punt.
Damn.
They were third in kickoff return. They were top 10, I think, in kickoff coverage. They were top 10 in opponent punting, and number 1 in DVOA on special teams from our guy Schatz. Okay. Everything they did was pretty good, and I think we're gonna run it back, guys, because I don't believe they had any turnover keeping Jack Fotts. Jake Bates, your kicker.
No one tried to hire Jack Fotts as their head coach, huh? Dave Phipp. No one tried to hire Dave Phipp. Excuse me. I assumed you were talking about the coach, but it was
Phipp is thought of as a very good OC. You got Khalif Raymond returning. He's a good returner. You also have Craig Reynolds who can do some of that. Jake Bates is your place kicker. Jack Fox is your punter.
Okay. All right. Final rating for the Linos is what?
A 4.51.
4.56 for me. Andy, the market rating for the Linos again is 3.56. So we are officially a Linos pod.
Yeah. So if anybody who is mad at this point, if you're sitting there in your armchair or out in the garden in Auburn fucking Hills, Michigan, all mad at us, we're higher on this team than the market is. They dropped them hard. So I know you're not. Well, you're not mad because you're not from Flint. I mean,
don't put in the paper that I'm mad.
Yeah, don't put it. I know you're not mad, Birdie. But if you thought we were being too hard, we're we're rosy on this team. We're rosy on
I can't believe it.
this whole division.
If you wanted to get real cool on them, their alternate under 9.5 is plus 148. That's not really enough for me to get involved. I'm going to take them on by betting against them to win the division. And then, as we talked about, middle of the year, we're going to revisit and find out if they are winning, if they are a playoff yes team. Because if they're a playoff yes team, then we think they can get to 10 wins. That's what you're going to need in the NFC this year, period. And so under 9.5 is not going to make it. And like, honestly, if shit really hits the fan and this is a Niners 24 year, like under 10.5 isn't enough, or under 9.5 isn't enough. Give me like an under 7.5 at like 8-1, right? Like I would much rather have that. So ultimately I can't take any action here on the win total market. I can tell you that it's tough for me to see a path for Jahmyr Gibbs to win Offensive Player of the Year, given how difficult this schedule is and how, just how many mouths there are to feed. Any of the offensive players there, I think, are going to be kind of boom or bust on any given week. I think Goff could certainly throw the most interceptions in the NFL. That's a fun.
What if this rookie is a contributor? Then you have Jameson as a deep threat. Amon-Ra is a guy getting 15 targets every time. Isaac Tesla getting some looks. Tim Patrick, Khalif Raymond. And then I didn't even mention Laporta. Brock Wright plays. You have David Montgomery on this team. Like, there's so many mouths to feed. It does feel like a tough one for one of the offensive players to get enough counting stats to, contribute to making you money in the awards market.
I have a great angle for you if you're a Lions fan. Here's what you do. Don't bet them to win the Super Bowl. I don't think you bet them to win the NFC. I think if you want to shove it in the face of everyone who's expecting regression this year, there's a 30-1 market out there for you, Andy. And it's Dan Campbell, Coach of the Year. 36-1 right now for Man Campbell. He never got his flowers. If he loses all of this talent in the coaching staff, and the Lions are still a top 4 team in the NFL, a top 2 team in the NFC, a 1 seed in the NFC, win their division. Like, I will be the loudest screaming from the street corner that Man Campbell deserves this Coach of the Year award. I know that it's insane to make a case that how can a team that just got the 1 seed be realistically a candidate for this? I will tell you this. I
know this is how you can tell Drew's not on Twitter enough. He makes a video about it once a week to talk about the big.
I'm not betting it. I'm just telling you, if you are a butthurt Lions fan that everybody in the media is dumping on your sweet baby Lions, then go bet some Man Campbell 36-1. That's your revenge spot.
Tesla. I always want to say Tesla. It's Tesla. He's working with the ones.
That's such a crowded market now.
It's a tough market, but
it's so crowded.
I feel like I do want to take a few long shots on a guy that's just like, hey, you're in a good offense and you're one of the top 3 receivers. Let's see what you can do.
Is he one of the top 3?
I think he will be.
Laporta is a top 3.
Yeah,
I would include Gibbs as a top 4. So many mouths to feed, man.
He's such a deep threat merchant, though.
There's so many mouths. It'll be fun.
We'll see what the price is. What interesting if Birdie has a price off the top of his head, but I think that's our Lions podcast, guys.
I can't believe that's the GRP player of the millennium is Dan Campbell. 36.
Gibbs out wide would be fun. Gibbs in the slot, Gibbs out wide. I'd love to hear that.
It still is such a sick skill group. It's so good.
Yeah.
That might be enough to overcome a lot of the negatives we're bringing up, but the schedule combined with the coordinator loss, like the writing's on the wall. This is going to be a step back year for the Lions, but if they can keep building what they have with Goff as a quarterback, and he can find any kind of if he can be a 7.5 for this team this year or next year, then they maybe the window has not closed for them. We'll see.
The final question then: who does win your GM of the year, executive of the year this year? Then
My guess right
And
now
why
in
is
the
it
blind.
Brian Goodcust?
It should be. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
he's done
Honestly,
a nice job.
if you know what, if JJ McCarthy is a very good quarterback, Kwesi probably is. Kwesi's probably there. Like, oh, you fixed a defense that sucked ass, and you drafted the quarterback your future. Like, good.
Okay. Well, I got a boogie.
Yes.
We'll wrap this. Good pod. Good cycle of NFC North pods, and we will catch you on Friday for excited for that one. Lot to cover.
Lot to cover. We'll do
Tune
some
in for
camp
WNBA dildo talk.
talk.
We got that. We have the hot sides for next dildo color if you need them. Tune in Friday morning.
Green.